We're starting history. If anything recorded?
All right, Josh, turn the camera on, bro.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
All right. Ready? Shit. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to CBJ Sports. This is episode 17. I'm back from the beach. CJ, Josh, and Billy all back. It has been a crazy week of sports. The finals has ended. MLB's kind of get started back up. NCAA's having some big news. The NFL's starting to get into training camp. The questions have arisen. You can watch us on Twitch as you are right now. We post on YouTube every single week. We're going to get back into Apple and Spotify if we ever switch off of Zoom or if I upload the audio file to the podcast so we can have a little bit more viewership. But this should be a fun one as we have a lot of questions. We have a fan question at the end. But we're going to start off with the NBA and the finals that ended. The Bucks won in 6. Giannis won finals MVP. And I just want to go over our takes and our thoughts after that. And for me, I think it just proves that the super team era isn't what our generation is going to be about. There's going to be those moments where the teams step up and that one superstar can win a chip, as Giannis has proven. I think it was good for the league that the Bucks won. I think it proves that it doesn't matter how many superstars you have or who's at the top of the league, that anyone can win it. The NBA is super competitive. And I'm just kind of glad that the Bucks won and Giannis got the finals MVP because it just added to that young, impressive resume.
Yeah, it also goes to show that defense do win championships. And as you've seen that, they went on a 4-game run. They shut down Chris Paul. I mean, I think him and Chris Middleton are one of the top duos in the league. They're both really underrated. I don't know. They going into Game 3, I think Milwaukee made more adjustments than the Suns did all series. I mean, Suns didn't make no in-game adjustments. I mean, nothing to stop Giannis at all.
Josh?
Yeah, Giannis really took over, and he was determined to win that chip. But I think it's going to make the Suns teams a lot better. I don't think they're going to go away. I think they're going to be here for a while. Super young. And with that loss, that young Suns team's going to want to come back. They're going to be hungry.
Yeah, and before Billy goes, I think what CJ was saying, like Coach Bud deserves a lot of this credit too, because Giannis is super young, and I've been very critical of like his decision making and the youth impacts of that's why he's not the best player in the league. He makes dumb decisions at a certain point. I think Coach Bud is the reason this team made those adjustments to be able to win this championship. I think he should get most of the credit, if not 75% of it.
Yeah, one of the biggest adjustments there is that in Game 1 and 2, and going back to the other against the playoff series with the Nets, is they're having Giannis as their primary ball handler, like from the start of the offense. But if you go back to Game 3, Chris Middleton's running, everything off the pick and roll, then he's feeding it to whoever, and the offense is just more fluent that way.
Yeah. Billy, your mic
ain't working. I tried saying that before we started.
Why Billy gets it fixed? Talking about like the pick and roll, Giannis and Chris Middleton, I think that is proof that bigs can run the pick and roll. Like we saw Chris Paul and the DeAndre Ayton. Like I said, that was unstoppable to me, and the Bucks stopped it. What's unstoppable is having Giannis and Chris Middleton in a pick and roll where Giannis can go to the rim, like you're not stopping him, but then if you can kick back out to Chris Middleton, like that's an all-star guy taking that shot. If a team can figure that out, like a Donovan Mitchell with another shooter, like if the Jazz could figure something like that would be like, I think that has started a new movement of the pick and roll during that run.
Mm-hmm.
Billy, you get it figured out? But also talking about the coach, CJ, the point still remains Monty Williams. I don't think Monty
Well,
Williams made a single
going
adjustment
back to
that
a
series.
couple of weeks ago, Blake said he wasn't a coach.
He
he's a
didn't make an
coach.
adjustment that series.
Yeah, I know that. Well, shoot, what's his name? Didn't it either in the other series?
What?
What's his name? Oh my God.
Steve Nash?
No.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Dude, my
what
brain
series?
just went dead.
Well, yeah, East or West Conference.
West. My brain just went completely dead, dude. I don't know. I see too many videos of Monty Williams on Instagram of him letting his team have it and stuff like that. He makes in-game adjustments. It's just he didn't make one to. I mean, Suns didn't really have a dude to really stop Giannis from dropping 40. I mean, you can hold him to 20 or maybe 30, but you ain't he ain't getting under that. But
Well, that's why I think overhyped was coming out of that Lakers series when everyone's like, oh, Jay Crowder stopped LeBron. No, we didn't. Jay Crowder got lucky against LeBron. That LeBron wasn't making shots. Like
LeBron wasn't trying.
That small forward has to be better. I think if the
Giannis is a little bit more lanky, so than LeBron.
I think if Cam Johnson was a little bit bigger, he could have run that starting small forward defensive role for the Suns. And if Cam Johnson can figure that out, I think Cam Johnson would be really good for that team, like especially in that role. Billy?
Testing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Thank goodness, dude. But what I was just going to say is, going back to what Blake said, I think it's really this era, once you see in a couple of years with no LeBron and I think we'll see a lot of this super team go away. Hopefully so. But, I mean, you just can't, going back, Coach Bud was great, but you cannot give enough credit because going 10, 15 years from now, we'll go back and look at this and be like, this is one of the greatest single performance series in a finals we've seen in a long time. You don't see many players in a finals just consistently dropping 40 to 50 points every game and putting the team on his back at certain points in the game when they need it most.
Yeah, I think I saw a post that was like, this isn't normal. And it had a picture of Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell when they had 50 last year in the Western Conference Finals game. Like, 50 isn't easy. And Giannis was almost putting 50 on the board every night against the Suns. And I think, as Billy said, it's going to be remembered for a very, very long time. As we move on to two things that are going to happen in the next 2 weeks. The first thing is the draft, and the next is free agency the week after. And the first thing is a mock draft, the top 5 picks, teams that need to get it rolling with rookies. I know some of ours are going to be the same picks-wise. I think mine's a little bit different because I have needs for other teams that need to be met. But number one, I know Zach Kaler's in the chat, a big Pistons fan. I think the Pistons pick is easy. I think it's Cade Cunningham or bust, if we can all agree.
Yeah.
Cade Cunningham.
100%.
Yeah, I think Cade Cunningham's the best player in the draft. He's a big, lengthy point guard. He can score. He's a Trae Young when Trae Young was coming out. He can do it all. He's taller. Really good playmaker, going to change the Pistons team around. Number 2 is where you can get a little bit off and on. I'm going to go Jalen Suggs. I think he's the next best player on the board. I know the Rockets have John Wall, but that bench point guard needs youth, and John Wall's not going to be in Houston forever.
Yeah, number 2, I'm going with the other Jalen Green. I've seen a lot of reports where they just say he's the second best player in this draft, and I've gone back and looked at some tape, and I really, at this point, it's not so much positional need as you're taking whoever you think is that best player available. And that's where I got Houston going.
I agree with Billy. I have Jalen Green going number 2.
I'm going with Jalen Green just because I don't want Jalen Suggs to go to Houston.
Don't want him to get trapped in Houston. I like it. 3 is where it gets a little confusing. I know a lot of people like Evan Mobley at 3 because he's the best player on the board. Personally, I think the Cavs are going to re-sign Jared Allen. So I don't think the big man is that much of a need in Cleveland. I think Scotty Barnes is the best small forward on the board. I think he reminds me of Pat Will out of Florida State last year when the Bulls took him at 4. Scotty Barnes is athletic. He can do it all. He can shoot. He's NBA ready. I think the Cavs need a scorer at the forward position or on the wing. I think Scotty Barnes is the best man available for that.
I went opposite of you. I don't think as much as I would want him to re-sign Jared Allen, I think they're just so deep. And like you said, if there was a position they need to go, it'd probably be wing. But I think when you best available in a position you don't have to have, but if you don't want to spend that money, I think it makes sense. And I got Mobley at 3.
Yeah, I got Mobley in the case of them not signing Jared Allen. So I got Mobley at 3.
Yeah, I got Evan Mobley going to Cleveland. I think somebody's going to pay Jared Allen a good bit of money. I seen it was like a projection of like 20 a year or something like that. But I think they really just need a center that can pretty much do it all. I think that's what Evan Mobley is. They drafted what's his name out of Auburn last year. That's a forward that can score really good.
Yeah,
What's his name? Oakby or something like that. I don't know. I forgot his name. And then you got the 2 guards we all know about, which one of them is probably going to get dealed out, but I think that's where Evan Mobley's going to land.
Yeah. Moving on, I know y'all have already said the name. It's probably going to be a mismatch with me and all of you. I have Jalen Green at 4. I think the Raptors are going to move on from Kyle Lowry, and I think Jalen Green can run the point. A lot of people like him at the 2, but I think Jalen Green can play point guard for this team if need be. I think Jalen Green is the best player available. I think all fits in Toronto. He comes in and replaces Kyle Lowry.
Real quick, Blake, I just wanted to. This number 4 pick is giving me Chicago vibes last year, in the terms of you really think it should be. For me, Suggs, of course, but the more reports you're seeing and everything, I think I'm gonna go with Scotty Barnes at 4. As much as I don't think they should, I think it should be Suggs, but I've just seen way too many reports of kind of that Patrick Williams-esque growing traction now. And I think Scotty Barnes is in that same class, and I think that's where they'll go with the 4th pick if they keep it.
I have
Yeah,
Jalen Suggs going to Toronto.
Yep. I got Jalen Suggs as well going to Toronto.
Yep. And at 5, a lot of the mock drafts have this being Kuminga, a guy out of G League. I don't have it because I have Evan Mobley falling down the board. I don't think Evan Mobley's that now point or power forward center in the NBA. But I think Evan Mobley's good enough to not fall out of the top 5. And I think the Magic, yes, they have power forwards. They have Jonathan Isaac at small, but they kind of need that big after losing Aaron Gordon. I think Evan Mobley can come in, not start immediately, but be that guy later, if not sooner.
Yeah, I have Jalen Suggs at 5. He's kind of the same case as you, where I think it's just sheer coincidence that he falls to 5, not really his talent or anything, but I mean, it's somebody I can't see dropping out of the top 5.
I got Jonathan Kuminga going 5th.
Yeah, my next best available player is Kuminga at 5.
DJ, you have Kuminga?
Yeah.
I like it. Wrapping up the draft, of course, we're going to get to see that this week as the Pistons will make one of the biggest picks in the history of their franchise. But moving on to something even bigger the next week, free agency. It's one of the biggest free agencies markets we've seen in a while, with a lot of star talent, if not superstar talent. And we're going to go through, and everyone's going to have a pick of what player is going to be the pickup for the championship team. And I'll let CJ start.
Wait, what was the question?
I'll go.
Josh, go.
This is the free agents. And I have Kyle Lowry going to his hometown in Philadelphia. I think that's another shooter that they could use on the offensive side to help to pair with their great defense that they have.
I like it.
Billy, go ahead.
God, it pains me to say it because I do not like him with a burning freaking passion, but it's got to be Kyle Lowry to the Lakers for me. That team is good. It's LeBron, let's be honest. As much as some people don't like him, it's there.
I like
it. Yeah, Lowry, it gives you a whole different option on the floor.
I worded this question so where I could do this. A pickup for a championship team that's going to put them over the top. I have Norman Powell to Atlanta. I think Norman Powell is a very underrated free agent. He dropped 30 for the Portland Trail Blazers in the playoffs with Dame, had a bad game. Atlanta needs that piece that can win them that game 6, win them that game 7, can be the guy when Trae Young's not on it. And if Norman Powell was that shooting guard that Trae Young can give the ball to late in games, I think Atlanta is a team that can win a finals series. I think Atlanta's right there on the top of the hill. That's why I have Norman Powell being that piece.
I like it.
CJ,
I mean, there's so many good free agents this year.
say Chris Paul,
Uh,
CJ.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with Kyle Lowry to Philly. I think Ben Simmons' his time is up, and I think Kyle Lowry comes back home.
Yeah. Speaking about Kyle Lowry and DeMar has been a very up in the air situation to LA. I think a lot of people just want to see a reuniting of Kyle Lowry and DeMar and try to get a ring that they didn't get in Toronto, led by the guy in LA and LeBron who knocked him out all those years. For me, I think it's something that won't happen. But if it does, I think that's a team that instantly is the favorite to win a finals. I think Kyle Lowry and DeMar are both guys that can do it at the top of the league tier wise at their position. DeMar DeRozan's still one of the best shooting guards in the league. He's just been stuck in San Antonio. But if that does happen, I think they're instant final favorites. I think it would be good to see the duo back in LA.
I'm not so much as worried as it happening is I'm just trying to envision how it could happen. Salary cap wise, that is a lot of. I just don't see Lowry and DeRozan either wanting to take a major pay cut just to go ring chase. And it's a matter of I just can't. Maybe one of them, but both of them, I just can't see it.
Before CJ Josh goes, I think the thing is Lowry wants to go to a team to ring chase, so he would take the vet minimum because he's 30 something now, almost
35.
Yeah, he would take that min. The thing is signing DeMar DeRozan. You're going to have to give him a little bit of pay cut because his talent in the league is, of course, like I said, I think he's one of the best shooting guards in the league in, day out.
And I understand what you're saying, but I mean, he could probably go get 15 mil more. He went to somewhere like CJ and Josh said, Philly. And a team that's got just as good of a chance to win a finals, if you ask me personally.
I think the only way I see this happening is if they both sign a 1-year deal and it's not bet minimum, but it's definitely a pay cut, and it's just a 1-year deal. That's the only way I see it happening.
Yeah, and that's what Zach just said in the chat is if DeRozan takes that little pay cut or drops the money down, to me, I think if anyone drops the money down, it's Kyle Lowry. Maybe DeMar would do it to get a ring and to play with Kyle Lowry again. But to me,
I see Kyle dropping to get that ring, but I don't know about DeMar being where he's at in his career, and I don't think he's at that point where he's like, I'm gonna take the min or the lowest I can take just to get a ring. I don't know if he's at that point yet. But I think I have DeMar DeRozan going to Dallas. I think Dallas will be able to pay DeMar DeRozan to help with Luka. And I think if Dallas offers DeMar DeRozan that money, I don't think he's going to deny that just to take him in at LA for a ring.
Yeah. Speaking of any other trades, does anyone else have any crazy trades they think is going to happen in free agency?
Not really a crazy trade. Go ahead, CJ.
I know Philly's trying to get De'Aaron Fox and something with Ben Simmons package. I've seen it all week, but who knows?
Yeah, I saw Golden State.
I saw where the Lakers were talking to the Kings about Buddy Hield.
Yeah, but, just now for Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah, but Blake, just real quick, I wanted to bring up not really a blockbuster trade, but I'm really kind of excited to see the value of a sign and trade with Lauri Markkanen.
I think that's going to be very powerful, and I think that's going to come up with the Lakers in a 3-team trade sooner or later. I think Lauri Markkanen is very, very highly touted in other NBA teams. They just don't know if Chicago's going to give him up.
Yeah, and I think it's, as much as I don't want to give him up, I think it's best for the team. And if you can get the right value back for that in a true point guard or a high pick, I think you got to do it.
Yeah, I think the Bulls are going to sign and trade Lauri Markkanen. The money, I think, will have to be moved, especially because Lowry's going to want a lot of it. But that's going to wrap up free agency. As we move on to something that has been powering Twitter, powering Instagram, college football has taken over social media this week. with the talk of super conferences. The first news was Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC, and they wanted a buyout to get into the SEC. And the question is, what does that mean, super conferences for college football? And I'll start it off. I think it's going to help. I think it makes college football more competitive. It leads into the 12-team playoff. I think it makes every single game matter if you have a super conference because you can't lose those big games. And that's going to give week 3 matchups between Texas and Alabama millions and millions of people watching. I think if anything, it helps. Yes, it hurts teams that are smaller in the SEC, as I'm a South Carolina fan. But if anything, it helps college football.
I think. Go ahead, Josh.
I think it's nice, like you said, making every game matter in the regular season, but also it kind of like doesn't at the same. Like you're taking the Pac-12, the Big 12, the 2 biggest teams out of it, and pretty much demolishing the Big 12. I think 2 other teams already asked to leave it too, didn't they? Or
Kansas wants to go to the Big 10, and Texas Tech and TCU want to go to the Pac-12.
So they're all wanting to leave, and then Oregon and USC came out and said they want to leave Pac-12 now. And so it's like all these teams are wanting to leave and create some super conference, but then it comes down to the NBA playoffs. It comes down to the NCAA playoffs, and then it's like, are you going to take 4 teams from the SEC if they have 2 losses or 1 loss? And then you have other conferences, but then you have another conference where they ain't playing nobody because all the big teams left the conference, and they're undefeated. And I think it's going to mess up coming down to the end. It's like you have these big teams that are playing each other all year, but then there's going to be a lot of arguing over that they should have been in because
I think that's why it leads into the 12 team. I think that's what they're trying to do, lead into the 12 team because they know they would.
So that would change a lot.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to hurt other teams because you're not going to have the strength of schedule no more and stuff like that, and you probably won't get into the playoffs because of that.
Really?
I think the only way that this possibly works efficiently is if the Big 12 implodes. And it sucks to say, but you got to distribute each of those teams to even it out a little bit. It'll still be a little lopsided on the SEC's behalf, but SEC gets Oklahoma and Texas and Iowa State, Kansas, and whoever else to the Big 10. It's just there has to be some balance somewhere in there.
But that's a really good point because if you move to the 12-team playoffs, that leaves 4 major conferences with 4 automatic bids if you have a 12-team conference. And the 4 conference champions of those super conferences instantly get in. And then you just move on to who's the best team standing from those conferences.
One bid automatically goes to the highest ranked Go 5 team too.
Yeah.
But to me, like I said, though, it just comes down to if you can balance it out, go for it. But if it's just, hey, OU and Texas
that's
are
the only
joining.
thing is it being balanced. That's where I don't think it's.
Yeah, because
I think I'd be able to balance it.
It came out right after that the SEC has already talked to Clemson and Florida State in the ACC.
Yeah, there's no way. The teams would have to leave the SEC for that to happen.
Yeah, I think, but that is also another thing that we've seen is
Mizzou.
people talking about Mizzou, Kentucky, Vanderbilt that hasn't competed in the SEC very well. But then, you can't just think about it football-wise because, these teams in the SEC, because they compete in every sport. Vandy wins a championship in baseball almost every other year. Kentucky wins the basketball team.
Yeah.
It is one of the best basketball teams. The SEC is the SEC for a reason. Every team competes at the highest level in every sport. And I think teams like Texas and Oklahoma don't realize that. I think Oklahoma more than Texas. But, you can't just start throwing teams in the SEC because they're good at football. And I think that's what it has to realize. Someone in the chat, Zach said, I heard that the Lakers are offering Kuzma in case he beats literally every team. That's facts. But staying in college football, talking about Texas and Oklahoma, how do you think they would fare in the SEC? And for me, I think Oklahoma wins it by a landslide. I think they have the recruiting to compete in the SEC. I think they could win an SEC in a couple years. Maybe if the first year they join, they can compete with Bama. Texas is on the other end. I think Texas is going to be shocked when they join the SEC. I don't think
Texas still thinks they're up here when they're still trying to get there. They're not there yet.
Yeah, I think they would end up being a Florida. where they could be good, but there's chances in a year like they could be a 6-7-1 football team, just like they were in the Big 12. I don't think it's that easy, but I think Oklahoma could compete.
I kind of thought of this a little bit different, but I kind of like compared them to other SEC teams in my brain. And for me, Oklahoma, I put them like with Auburn. Is a team when they're good, one of the best in college football. But they're always that 7, 8, 9 win team, somewhere around in that area. But like you said, they have the recruiting. I see 'em, like I said, I see them as an Auburn team, kind of in and out every other year. One year they're in the playoffs, next year they're not, kind of back and forth. And then going to Texas, I'm thinking more like people are gonna hate this comparison.
Kentucky.
Nah, hey, I'm not saying they're as good as the team, but in terms of where they would fit, A&M. I think they'll get good, and I think they'll get there to that edge where they can compete, but they'll never quite make it. They'll always be in somebody like Alabama's shadow.
So I wonder if them moving to the SEC, does that help Texas bring in more recruits? Because not everybody, especially with college football, they get that title of, oh, I'm an SEC D1 player. Does that help Texas get more recruits in? Because Texas is a big football school. People want to play there, but people want to play in the SEC.
I'm going to let CJ go before I say something.
No, I think if Oklahoma really does go to SEC, they always got a good offense. I think you're going to start seeing them get big-time defensive recruits, usually not getting that. What were they in, the Big 10?
Big 12.
Big 12. In the Big 12. But I think if they come to the SEC, they'll start getting big recruits in for the defensive side.
See, you both said recruits. I don't think people that watch other teams from other conferences, I just don't think Texas and Oklahoma realize what it's like. I don't think they know what they're getting themselves into. They don't understand that every single week they're going to Kentucky, which isn't an easy place to play. Then they're coming home and they're hosting Texas A&M and Jimbo Fisher. And then the next week you go to Rocky Top and you listen to Tennessee with one of the biggest fan bases in college football. Like every single week you are competing at the highest level. And you don't do that in the Big 12. You get weeks off in the Big 12, just like in the ACC, sometimes in the Big 10. Like the only time you're getting a week off in the SEC is if you get lucky and you get to go to Vanderbilt and play football for a weekend. But I mean, I just don't think they realize how hard it is being in the SEC. Just like Billy said, you can be as good as anyone. Texas A&M was one of the best football programs in the country, but no one cared because they couldn't beat Bama. So if you get in the East, maybe you get lucky and you still got to beat Georgia and Florida. But if you're in the West, you're screwed. You have to beat Bama.
Oh, there would 100% have to be a realignment.
Yeah.
Hey, Oklahoma and Texas would both have to be in the West.
Yeah, I just don't think that people realize that would be a tough task for both of those teams. As we move on to not really the team wise, but more into the player aspect, and I just wanted to go through this because I've seen a lot lately of people arguing about all Americans on offense and defense. And we're going to have our first installment of a CBJ All-American team, and we're going to go college football on defense. Starting at the defensive end position, I'm going to go with a guy that I talk about a lot. I think could be a Heisman guy. I'm going to go Kayvon Thibodeau at Oregon. I think he's one of the best players in college football. He has to be in my first team defensive end.
Yeah, there's
I think
question.
we all got him.
We all got Kayvon. Moving to defensive tackle, I'm going to go to Georgia. Like I said, SEC football. Jordan Davis, 6'6", 330, a guy who's young. He's going to get his chance now at Georgia. Like any team in the SEC, you got to wait for your time to shine. I think Jordan Davis is ready. I think Georgia's going to have one of the best defenses in the country. I went Jordan Davis at defensive tackle.
I went DeMarvin Leal out of Texas A&M. He's projected to be the first D tackle taken off the board in this upcoming draft next year.
Like it.
Got Haskell Garrett out of Ohio State.
I'm pulling up my list. Hold up. Trying to pull it up.
I was trying to think of before I picked Jordan Davis. There was a defensive tackle at Stanford that's ginormous, and I just couldn't find his name. I wanted to make it like an honorable mention, but I just couldn't find his name.
Harrison Phillips.
Stop.
That's his name.
It was not.
I got my list up now. Ow! I went to go sit up and the cord just yanked my headset, about broke my neck. But I'm going with Jermaine Lowell. He's a defensive tackle out of Arizona State. He was one of the toppest.
All right, Blake. So linebacker.
He was one of the highest rated efficiency run stuffers, pass rushers playing in that 1 or 3 technique. There, I'm just done. Y'all go ahead.
I like that pick. Moving on to linebacker, I'm going to go where linebackers are made. The home of Micah Parsons and the replacement of Micah Parsons. Brandon Smith at middle linebacker. He's going to instantly come in and replace Micah Parsons. He's a day 1, day 2 linebacker guy, 6'3", 240, runs a 4.5. I think Penn State is just going to keep rolling in linebackers into the NFL, and Brandon Smith's the best linebacker I see play college football last year.
All right, go ahead, CJ.
No, go ahead.
I didn't want to put him down here just because I have no chance of pronouncing his name, but I tried. I'm going to try my hardest here.
Oh.
Linebacker out of Washington. I'm going to spell it. How about that? Edit.
All right, he ain't making it. All right.
Edifwan Ulofashio out of Washington. Former 2-star walk-on, by the way. Consensus All-American preseason team.
I got Will Anderson Jr. out of Alabama. I feel like Alabama always has that linebacker come out of nowhere once they get to the bright lights, and I think that's going to be him.
I have Christian Harris.
Yeah, that's the name that I wanted.
He's projected to be the #1 linebacker taken in the upcoming draft.
I was gonna. If no one said him, I was definitely gonna have him honorable mention because he was my 2. And Alabama's always got good linebackers. Cornerback, I think it's just like defensive end. If you have a different name than me, I don't know what happened. Derek Stingley's the best cornerback in college football, and it's not close. He's going to be a top 5 pick in the draft. He's just proven he's Jalen Ramsey of college football.
There's only one corner that they think could get drafted before him.
Is that
Kerry Lamb out of Florida? They have him going before your guy in every mock draft right now. I know it's super early, but in every mock draft right now for 2022 has the Florida guy going first.
There was actually another name I saw, Josh, believe it or not. I'm going with Stingley. I'm going to go ahead and preface that, but there is a kid in Cincinnati named Sauce Gardner, and he rated a 90.2 right off the bat as a true freshman last year. So I think you'll see his name a lot more in the upcoming years.
I like that. Moving to safety. This is it's gonna make Billy mad. It's gonna make a lot of South Carolina fans mad because I know a lot of South Carolina fans that don't like this guy or think he's good. I looked at all the mock drafts, look at all the pro scout reports, and 3 names came that I've watched and seen play safety. Kyle Hamilton at Notre Dame, Smoke Monday at Auburn, and R.J. Roderick at South Carolina. And I think R.J. Roderick's faster than Smoke Monday. He's better at coverage, and he hits harder than Kyle Hamilton. I know a lot of South Carolina fans do not like him because of the way he plays pass coverage. He's a little bit over-aggressive. But R.J. Roderick is the hardest-hitting safety in college football. Yes, he plays at South Carolina, so a lot of people don't know who he is. But he's going to be a day 2 safety if Kyle Hamilton's the first one off the board at Notre Dame. I have R.J. Roderick at safety number 1.
I have Kyle Hamilton. It's 6'4", 220 pounds. The way he plays, the way he does, it's hard to go against him.
I got Kyle Hamilton. I watched him last year. He's just all over the field.
Kyle Hamilton. Being the hardest hitter ain't always the best thing.
Yeah,
when it comes to being All-American safety.
I think Kyle Hamilton plays better pass coverage. I think Kyle Hamilton was my 2 very close, but I had to give RJ some love. As we move on to, the sport that has been crazy this week over Twitter. And the first question is Green Bay. Your thought? There's plenty of thoughts on that, but I want to skip down to what's happening in Green Bay. How do they solve it? And for me, I think you let Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams do what they want to do, figure out what they're going to do, and move on as fast as possible and try to start this rebuild with Jordan Love. Aaron Rodgers and Devontae control too much money and time, so you kind of got to let them do what they want to do. But you can't cut them. You can't really do anything about it. So you kind of like got to let it roll and just start the rebuild when you can.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think this is the reason you drafted Jordan Love, is if when Aaron Rodgers became a free agent, he didn't stay, or kind of like the whole Brett Favre situation about 10, 15 years ago. But it's just a matter of they don't want to be there. Don't try and force them. Go ahead and get the value you can now before they become free agents, and then you get absolutely nothing for them. Go ahead and let that rebuild hit. Go ahead and get Jordan Love the weapons he needs. Surround him with them. He's already got a really good running back. And yeah,
I seen a stat the other day that Aaron Rodgers has like 15 to 20 touchdown passes of first round draft picks, and like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning have like over 100. I'm like, what? That just blows my mind.
Well,
But
but you gotta think some of the all-time great receivers in the NFL are not first-round draft picks.
Oh yeah, I
Receivers
know
can
that.
come like Stephon Diggs was a 5th or 6th round pick, and look where he's at now. So like,
Antonio Brown.
I know
Yeah,
that
some of the
Aaron
good
Rodgers thinks he needs more receivers and doesn't have that first-round pick receiver, but you don't need that in the NFL. You'll get
Rodgers is
receivers
so
out of
good.
this. Yeah, you get receivers out of the 6th, 7th round, even undrafted. I mean, that's where. But back to the question, I think you kind of just gotta ride whatever Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams want to do. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is your team, so
Yeah, you ship them out and you rebuild.
Before I move on, y'all's takes on the Last Dance photos. What do you think it means?
I'm thinking that
so last year.
yeah, I think they're gonna give it one more year and they're gone.
See, I've heard that was the first take, and the second one was that was a picture from the end of the Last Dance, and they're saying that the last year was that Last Dance, and they were like shaking hands, like so long, buddy, like we're moving our separate ways. That's the other take that I saw.
Real quick before we move into this next topic, Blake, I refuse to answer it.
That's completely fine. I did not mean this to be come at you in any way. It's
I
literally
feel
a
like there's
question.
some slander going on.
It is a picture that I saw on Instagram, and I was like, that is a really good debate. So the debate is start, bench, cut. We've had the segment the last 3 weeks. And it's quarterbacks, Kyler Murray, Trevor Lawrence, Tua Tagovailoa. And I want to set this preface up. It's game day. You have these 3 quarterbacks, and the GM tells you got one to go out there that's going to play for you today. You got to put one on the bench, and you got to tell one he's got to go back home, pack the stuff up, send him back. So I'm going to start with who's going to be your starting quarterback for the game, and we'll work our way down. Me and Josh kind of had this argument last night. I haven't talked to CJ about it or Billy. I'm starting Kyler Murray. He's proven he's more athletic. Yes, the arm talent isn't there with Trevor Lawrence, but I think Kyler Murray is the most NFL-ready start right now quarterback. He's got the experience, as I said. He's proven he can win big games. He did it at Oklahoma. He's got superstar talent. That's why I went Kyler Murray.
I'm starting Trevor Lawrence. I mean, we all know what Trevor Lawrence can do. Trevor Lawrence has got the most arm talent out of anybody, out of all those 3 guys. And we know Trevor Lawrence can win big games. We've watched him win big games as a freshman in college. So I got Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I got starting Trevor Lawrence.
Blake, if it makes you feel any better, I pick Kyler.
I went Kyler off of now. Like, if right now today I'm going to an NFL game, I'm the coach, I want Kyler Murray. He's did it in the biggest moments. He did it against the NFL guys. I don't know what Trevor Lawrence. That's the only reason I took Kyler Murray.
I mean, for doing that, then you don't put a rookie in the conversation.
Yeah, you had to pick somebody else.
I was going off right now. You can think Trevor Lawrence is a better quarterback right now, day one, than Kyler Murray is. And that's a very good argument because I'm going to bench Trevor Lawrence. He's going to be my number 2 guy. If Kyler Murray messes up, I'm throwing Trevor Lawrence in the game off the bench. Billy's off the screen. I don't think that
No,
Tua is a
you're
bad
look.
quarterback.
I'm gonna be
This is
honest.
not what this is meant
I'm
to
gonna be
do.
honest. You're completely right, and I hate it. That's the reason I
Yeah.
refuse to answer this question.
I think it's just the arm talent. I think Trevor, he's 6 foot whatever. I think that puts him over Tua for me. I think the arm talent is right there. I think Tua's I think he's a really good passer. I think this is not to diminish Tua in any way as a passer. I think Tua is a really good NFL starting quarterback. But out of these three, I'm taking Trevor Lawrence to bench. CJ?
I mean, I have Kyler Murray on my bench.
Yeah, I'm benching Kyler Murray.
Billy, you want to go ahead and agree with this man?
I miss him so much. Come back, Ryan. We need you.
Billy,
Tua, I hope you do great, but I'm
Billy, you want to
sad.
go ahead and agree with this
No,
man? You can go ahead
my
and
heart won't let me.
You can go ahead and bench Trevor, bro.
My heart won't let me.
Okay, I'll take it when I can. This wasn't just like Tua. I know Billy thinks I was coming after him. But the next question is staying on young quarterbacks. How many weeks until Justin Fields?
Did you stub my toe?
How many weeks until Justin Fields starts? And what is your expectations? For me, I think it's week 4. I don't think Andy Dalton is ready to play a whole season. And for me, I think Justin Fields has got high expectations. I think he's got rookie of the year expectations. He can win it with a late jump. I think Justin Fields is ready to play in the NFL, and he's ready to do it now.
I have them starting week 4. Up to week 4, they play Rams. They play 3 pretty decent teams. I know they play Bengals in there, and then one other team. I can't remember the other team.
It's Los Angeles, Cincinnati, then Cleveland.
Cleveland, yeah. So at that point, they can be 1-2 or 2-1 at any point. But I think that they start Justin Fields week 4 against Detroit. I think Detroit's going to be their best game to start him and have a great start to his career against Detroit.
Yeah, I'd go with what Josh said, week 4 going against Detroit. I just want to see, like, yesterday they just traded Anthony Miller to the Texans for, I don't know what they got in return, but like I know they have Allen Robinson, but who else do they have?
Yeah. Billy?
I would just like to say I've seen this story before in Chicago. Mike Glennon came in. Everybody's like, oh, dude. Bears are like, that's our starting quarterback. We just drafted a guy with the number 2 pick, but that is our guy. Yeah, you saw how long that lasted. So, really, I think if they really want to commit to the Justin Fields, the best thing you can do is give him a year to learn. But they won't. I'm with Josh and CJ on anywhere between that week 3 through 6. If Andy Dalton's not playing average, he's getting benched. And I think it's the Justin Fields show, and I really have high expectations of him. I really like Justin Fields' game. And I think that a lot of these negative reviews of him not reading balls, reading receivers, routes, and all that, defenders, is some of it's true. I don't think it's completely true just for the sheer fact of look what he had at Ohio State. He didn't need to read a defense to throw the ball. But I really have high, like, Pro Bowl year 2 type expectations for Justin Fields.
Yeah, I think Justin Fields could be a superstar at quarterback. He's 6'4". He's got a really good deep ball. He's athletic. He's built for the modern day of the NFL, and I think he's going to be just as good as anyone else out of that draft class. Before we move on to the Major League Baseball, I want to mention during the next few weeks, the next month, we're going to get together and start our top 100 players in the NFL for CBJ, just like NFL Network does. And we're going to see how that matches up with the NFL Network. Because as a group, the last few years, we've had a very, very many arguments and comment sections of NFL Network's top 100 players. So we want to see if we can make a better top 100. We'll see what y'all think about that. As we move on to the MLB, I want to restate this because Josh called me out on it last night. Undervalued star of the week. I really just want to have a CBJ star of the week in MLB baseball because I know we all kind of have different guys more than likely. I'll start it off. I'm going to go Pete Alonso. Coming off a home run derby, he's hitting 345, had 4 home runs. The only guy to hit 4 home runs other than him was Rafael Devers of the Boston Red Sox. But Pete Alonso's hitting better. He's got more hits, more RBIs, and he's proving he's more than just a home run guy. and helping New York win some baseball games in that tough AL East or NL East.
I got Chris Bryant. They moved him back to third base for a little bit, and he's been hitting the ball really good. And I think that's helping him out on the offensive side of the ball.
I think for me it's Mitch Haniger, a guy that doesn't get talked about enough because where he plays. He has had a really good year in Seattle. I mean, he's currently hitting 270, 25 bombs, plays really good defense, and over the past week, he has absolutely exploded. Enough so to get him AL Player of the Week this week, and I just think really good baseball player that deserves to be on a better team.
Josh?
I had Charlie Blackmon, who's batting for this week at 370 with 6 RBIs.
I like it. The Rockies are also playing hot lately, and Charlie Blackmon's been a really big part of that. Talking about free agency, Nelson Cruz just kind of got moved, which we'll talk about in a minute. But what's a move you want to see trade-wise and for who? I'm going to stick – I feel like every time we talk free agency MLB, I always go to Atlanta, and it's not to pick on the Braves. I think the Braves are really close to being a really good baseball team, and I kind of want to see them win. I'm going to go Braves Kyle Gibson for the Rangers. I think Kyle Gibson's going to be moved from Texas here soon. I think the Braves need that. I know they have starters, but they need that ace other than Max Fried. I think Kyle Gibson's a guy that steps in, can be a 1 or 2 in Atlanta. And I just really think Atlanta needs pitching, and Kyle Gibson's a guy on the block that you can't pass up.
I think for staying with the Braves, their starting pitching has actually been really well the past month or two. And I think for me, it comes down to that bullpen blowing so many games within the past 2 months, just absolutely imploding and not looking good. So I went to the Pittsburgh Pirates in a trade for Richard Rodriguez to Atlanta. He is a sub-3 ERA kind of guy. He is your first. He can be put anywhere in the bullpen. He can be your closer. He can be your setup guy. He can be that first guy out of the bullpen if you need him. And he's in his prime right now, 31 years. Probably wouldn't have to overpay to get him. And I think it'd be a really just plug and play instantly into that bullpen that desperately needs pitching help.
I'm going with Joey Gallo to the Yankees. I have to. I'm gonna be biased here.
I called it last night.
All right, I'm gonna go Trevor Story to the Yankees. No, I'm kidding. No, I've seen they're in conversations with him and Trevor Story, but I think if anyone of them two would land, it'd be Joey Gallo.
My only thing with Joey Gallo is I feel like I've heard this every year for the past 3 years.
I had the same conversation with Josh. I don't think
Joey
Gallo is going to help
to that next level.
Every year, Joey Gallo's on the trade
level.
block every year, and just nothing ever happens.
The argument I had with Josh last night, I wasn't really arguing. I was just like stating a point.
Yeah, we were just
is
talking.
the Yankees have power hitters. They need that guy. A name that I said, like the Red Sox are going after Sterling Marte. They need a guy who is going to get up and get a hit every at bat. And I don't think Joey Gallo is that guy.
I have Yankees getting Trevor Story.
You need more than one.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm just saying.
You have so many power swing and miss type guys.
We're playing with a bunch of AAA players right now.
Yeah, but you have Stanton, Judge, Glaber, Voit.
Please God.
But we have Torres, who's batting a 190 right now. I know he's been going off the last couple of games, but Torres is supposed to be that guy that gets on every at bat, but he's batting a 190.
You have so many swing and miss type players that they're either striking out or they're hitting one about 450. You need that another consistent average guy to plug into that lineup.
Josh, did you say yours?
Yeah, I had Yankees getting Trevor Story or Sterling Marte.
Yeah, I think Sterling Marte is a guy the Red Sox really need to go after in that outfield. But we'll see what happens in the next few weeks. Talking about a move that happened, Nelson Cruz went to Tampa Bay, and how do you feel? Do you think that completes the roster? And for me, I think the team's good, but Nelson Cruz doesn't complete a roster. He's a 40-year-old that hits tanks and strikes out. He's not going to win your World Series, but he's going to give you runs. And I think the Rays are a really good team, but a guy, like I said, a 40-year-old can't complete that roster. CJ.
I mean, what is he, DH in there, I'm guessing?
Yeah.
I mean, I think he
Playing
can.
third.
I mean, he kind of was the Twins the whole year, but I don't know. I think he does what he brings with his offense again.
I haven't watched. Oh my bad.
Surprisingly, Blake, not to say you're wrong or anything, but he's hitting 290 this year. He's not striking out that much, but to me, it's weird with Tampa Bay because I feel like they're a team that you're like, oh, they're finally gonna start that reset this year when they traded Blake Snell. Who was it, Tommy Pham that they traded?
Yeah, I think so.
Or it was one of those outfielders. But every year you're like, okay, they're finally gonna reset, and then here come 10 guys from AAA that are just as good as the guys they let go, and they're right back there again. And I don't think Nelson Cruz completes the team, but I think Nelson Cruz can do nothing but help this team.
Yeah, but like you were saying, like you move guys around, and Randy Rosarina and Wander Franco are human beings, and it's like this team's just as good as it was before.
It's weird. They're a weird team. They're one of the weirdest teams in the MLB by far.
Yeah.
And I mean that in the best way possible.
They have a really good farm, but I think yeah, all it can do is help him. It's not going to hurt him. Like Bill says, batting 290, come in, home run every now and then. I think all it can do is help him.
Yeah. So that's gonna wrap up the MLB. But first, I'm gonna pass it to CJ as he has a fan question of the week.
All right. The fan question of the week is from Pops here, and it is who is the best NBA player non-American ever? So non-American NBA player of all time.
He's from France, isn't he?
Off.
I'm gonna pull up a list here.
If Kobe's technically from France, it's Kobe.
I mean, how long did he
First name was Dirk.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I was thinking Dirk, but I was thinking
Yeah.
Kobe played for Team USA though.
Dirk paved that path for foreign players to come over.
That was my first initial
Tony
thought.
Kukoc.
Andre Kirilenko, AK-47.
Gallinari, baby.
Yeah, with that mohawk.
I think it has to be Dirk.
Yao Ming.
Nah,
but
Ooh. Yao Ming.
You ain't saying Yao Ming over Dirk. That's not happening.
Yao Ming.
Big China. But
my top two is Dirk and Hakeem Olajuwon. That's my top two.
ooh. It's got to be Dirk. It just has to be
Dirk's
Dirk.
definitely
Though.
I'm going with Dirk though.
He's the only top 10 guy.
Huh?
What if
Dirk is on some people's list in this world. People have Dirk in top 10 all time. So
I'm saying like
Dirk
he's the only guy that could be like top 10.
You're saying what?
He's like the only guy overseas that would be in like a top 10 debate all time.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I mean, maybe Hakeem, but he's not in mine.
I think there's more Dirk than Hakeem.
Yeah.
No.
I agree.
But-
I agree with Dirk. We all wrapping that up with Dirk.
I love Dirk, so yeah.
Dirk, overseas player, the king of kings, Dirk Nowitzki. I think Luka could take that spot maybe at the end of his career, but we'll see what happens. It's going to be a fun week of sports. The NBA draft comes on Thursday. That's going to wrap up CBJ Sports episode 17.
Yeah, I have time to watch some volleyball.
You can watch us on Twitch every single week. Catch us on Twitter, Instagram, as we're going to be dropping our first 10 for CBJ Top 100 NFL players. It's been a fun week. Love you guys.
Yo, the men's triathlon's on.
I ended it.